well, try my name and you'll have a problem. Drummer for the band Korn. What made the band decide to reissue the paradigm shift with the added material?
You know, I think everybody wants added material. I think everybody wants extras and things they didn't get. And there were a few songs on the recording end of the record that, like, Jonathan wasn't able to. He just didn't have time to put lyrics to some of the music that we recorded, and we wanted to release that stuff. So
yeah, we had like 25 tunes, you know, by the end of the session. So, and it's just cool to put fresh stuff out. And we had a bunch of live tracks that we picked from all over the world, hence the World Tour Edition, you know. And so from Denver to Moscow to London, so we just picked some of our favorite live cuts and packaged them up, put some new photos in there, and haters on the radio.
And we literally have been all around the world since the last release.
Yeah.
The original, the Paradigm Shift release. So remember when we were looking at the artwork for it when we were doing shows in Germany.
Yeah.
We did some shows in Germany, so for some of our troops over there, right around 4th of July last year. So yeah. So we just want to kind of breathe some new life into the existing songs, and plus give everybody some additional material.
As you know, we picked up a bunch of copies today.
Yeah, thank you. Are you guys on payroll? You should be.
But,
You should be at this point.
One of the songs, "The Game Is Over,"
Yeah.
that had a working title of Hercules, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, you're right.
Was that actually for the soundtrack, or is it on the soundtrack?
It's not on the soundtrack. It was originally written for the soundtrack, and you can hear the lyric. If you hear the lyrics, you can kind of put together it was meant for, like, you know, a Greek god or something.
It's a very different song for you guys.
Yeah.
Willing to die to see you fall, and it's the
Yeah,
whole,
it's
like,
very like gladiator.
Totally, yeah.
And like Greek god thing, but that's the theme. That was the theme of the movie. So Jonathan went and took that theme and elaborated on it, and I don't think we made the cut. I think the cutoff time for submissions for that was too late. So probably would have been a slam dunk for their soundtrack.
Yeah. It's a good credits roll at the end, kind of thing. But yeah, I like this song a lot.
We haven't heard it yet.
You haven't heard it?
Alright, what was it like teaming up with Don Gilmore on the track Hater and on the Paradigm Shift itself?
I mean, my experience with Don is he came in when we had a lot of the material written. I'd say, like, we had ideas written. We put like a verse, chorus, we'd get a song idea, and then we'd move on. And we had a conversation with him on the phone. He said, just keep writing what you're doing. We sent him some of the sessions, and he said, just keep doing what you're doing. And that's when we got to a point where it was like, okay, we need his help. So he came in and we really started to fine-tune the songs to make them cohesive.
We need fresh ears, you know, people, someone like him. He's real laid back, he's real mellow, and he's not too hyper, and his suggestions are really good, you know. And if you're strong about what you're feeling, he respects that, and he works with you. A lot of producers just slam you down and say, look, this is the way it has to be, or he's really good at that. I like a laid back approach because, you know,
there's so many ideas, and you have to compromise when there's so many creative people in the room, and you're all sort of molding this thing to head in the same direction. And that's one thing he's really good about delegating. Okay, we'll let you have this, but we'll change this to fit better. So it's a lot of compromising. He's, like I said, he's good at doing that, and especially when it came to bringing a lot of the electronics in. You know, at the point where Head came back to the band, and we definitely wanted a guitar-driven album that was in your face, and, you know, the left-right driving vibe of, you know, when he was in the band previously. So we wanted to take advantage of that, and Jonathan was in a bit of an electronic phase. You know, he still is, but Don was able to
central. So it's like he's definitely someone you bring back in.
And he's, like Ray said, he's really laid back, and he lets. I think Jonathan's really comfortable working with him.
Yeah.
He really lets Jonathan. He gives Jonathan ideas, and then Jonathan is able to kind of flush those ideas out, and Don gives him such positive feedback that he feels comfortable to kind of like let those ideas, percolate in his mind and let it sort of come to life.
How integral do you think it is that the singer actually be the one that has that relationship with the producer? And I ask that because Corey Taylor gave very definitive views on his working on Volume 3 with that producer, which I believe was Rick Rubin, if I'm not mistaken, versus the producer of All Hope Is Gone. And it meant the world to him to have a producer that he felt was working with him.
Sure. It's a fragile state. I mean, the vocals are, people mostly sing along with the vocals and the melody lines. And so.
And you're also breathing like life into the song. It's just music, but you're giving the song meaning with the lyrics. So
they have to be comfortable. If the singer's not comfortable, I think that's why Korn 3, John wasn't comfortable with Ross, even though they were longtime buddies for the first couple of Korn records. But there was definitely no comfortability there. But sometimes that brings out a different side of you. And there's still, I love that record still. It's like there's a lot of, but it always helps when the singer wants to show up and tackle it and go like, let's do this and let's make it the best we can.
right, and it's a good point because it's like someone that's feeling claustrophobic with you're gonna get a different reaction than if they have their time to let things naturally develop.
The Paradigm Shift, which is the 11th studio album from Korn, and first new record with original guitarist Brian Ed Welch in a decade. How did Brian, him coming back, how did he impact this CD?
Well, it got us all on room to write the record. On our previous album, Path of Totality, it was all kind of done in a computer, and it was like we teamed up with different writers, producers, DJs, and it was a different experience. So this was actually got us all 5 of us back in the room together, and that had a huge impact on it. And then having another creative mind as strong as Brian's was really helpful, and it was fun. Really, to be frank, it was a lot of fun. It just brought a positive. Everybody showed up.
Yeah.
There was no one was flaky.
very fortunate to feel that we can still do this for a living, and this is our jobs, and you know, we can support our families doing it, which is an amazing thing. You know, we're still doing what we love to do. You know, so but you have your families at home waiting, and you know, and you're like, so there's
this is our family while we're out here.
Exactly.
And so
Fight like anybody else.
Yeah, and it's you know, and it's. I think we're in such a great place in our lives right now, and we're just focused on the music, and you know, it's I don't know. There's moments on this tour I'm just like, wow, this is a freaking powerhouse band right now, you know. And then there's times where I'm like, wow, we must not have slept good last night.
I didn't sleep good last night.
Well, they're giving me the signal for what I believe 2 more questions. You're all set.
Yeah, I'm good.
So this one's a little bit of a loaded question, but I kind of want your take on it. I actually asked somebody from one of the singers from Mushroom Head about this today, and he and I spoke actually for a while. And what I wrote was, the state of touring for rock and roll seems to be in a state of chaos. And I say that because Morgan Lander of Kitty recently said that even if they tour 9 months, they can't make a profit. Nonpoint last year did an Indiegogo where they raised money to tour because they couldn't afford it. And there are other bands that use social media and fundraising to pay for their studio time because there just isn't any support. So really what I guess I'm asking is, how are up-and-coming rock bands, or how are you as established bands supposed to, what can we do to get,
I think, you know, it's, unfortunately, you can't, once we figured out that, you know, records, you know, you can't go backwards once you figure out a way to get people to pay for the record. You know, we include extras and DVDs, and but they always people find a way around that to get content free, which is great for the fans. You know, it's a good way to get, you know, the kid in Thailand who's at his computer, who doesn't have enough money to buy bread, can still watch a Korn concert for free. So there's people that we're reaching on corners of the world that we wouldn't normally reach, but I don't know. I think the people that are stealing it that can afford it is where the problem is. Yeah. And but there's no going back. There's no fixing in that. You can't go back and say, okay, we figured out a way to. Everybody can pay for music. They just won't buy it.
Right.
But I think it's the same for touring. You got to kind of include meet and greets. You got to kind of include stickers. I think people are going to start to want more things from their live experience.
They want experience, yeah. It's definitely something that it's got to make it be worth their while. You know, there's people like yourselves that are going out buying. You know, I still go to Best Buy and buy records, and there's still a few of us out there, but you know, in the good way, like you said, it gets to all corners of the world instantaneously. If we put a song out right now, it can be in Germany in 5 minutes. So you can never replace live entertainment. You know, not all bands are fortunate to get on big packages like this, or even to, like you said, to make money doing it. So it's a matter of, you got to push
you
yourself.
have to buy the record because that's the only way the label can justify giving you the money to continue touring.
True.
Right with that?
Yeah, I mean,
Sad truth, but
yeah.
Unfortunately, it doesn't happen. Now, my last question, because I was told there was only one more. Last night, going through the internet.
Oh boy.
You don't want to know about this.
No, but last night going through the internet, we saw that in England they're releasing a red vinyl version of Self-Titled. And it's coming out on August 4th, and a place was taking pre-orders for it. Do you guys have any information?
It's probably Sony. Sony Music still pretty much owns the right to that album. If we could get the rights to that back, we would. And
so it's not
we'll
coming
see it,
through you.
and we'll see it probably a little bit of residual from that, but that was
It was like it was a 2 LP set.
Really?
Re-release.
Untitled was the first one.
Self-Titled.
Was it a Sony
For
thing?
what?
It didn't say that. It said released by some independent label. It was like, but it looked like it was a legit.
It could be a label had gone to Sony and said, "Can we buy the rights for this one release?" And they said, "Okay."
Yeah.
And they could be doing, you know.
So it's not through you